Good morning, class. A little school humor. Hello, everybody. What's that? No problem. Yeah.
Hey, Tommy.
I'm also now coming by the thing tonight, if that would be easier. It's up to you. You're not, okay. No, all right, nice to see you, buddy. I didn't see you there. You good? Boom. Good morning, everybody. Happy Monday. It's an honor for me to start my week in Bergenfield and especially here at Hoover Elementary School. And I want to thank Dr. Christopher Tully and Principal William Fleming for welcoming us. A lot of Chris Tullys in the room today. I am equally honored to be joined by the man to my right, Congressman and dear friend Josh Gottheimer. Commissioner of Education, Dr. Lamont Repollet to my left. Commissioner of the Department of Environmental Protection, to my left, Catherine McCabe. And the great District 38 team of Senator Joe Lagana, Assemblywoman Lisa Swain, and Assemblyman Chris Tully. Mayor Schmeltz, members of council, Board of Education, educators, kids who I don't think are in the room. Ora, nice to see you. We are now 1 month into the new school year, and our students, their families, and our educators are getting into the daily routine. Our administration is here to support them every step of the way to ensure that they have a safe and successful school year. That includes ensuring that they are safe in every way while in this building. Safe from violence, safe from bullying, and safe from the dangers of lead. 20 miles to our south in the city of Newark, we're seeing the impact of aging water infrastructure. But we would be naive to think that some of the causes of high lead content in Newark's homes and schools, lead service lines and lead-based solder and copper lines, is just a Newark problem. It isn't. It's a whole of New Jersey problem, and it's a problem we are here today to strengthen our efforts to overcome. Before I begin, I must give a huge shout out to the guy to my right, Congressman Josh Gottheimer, who helped sound the alarm and open more eyes to the fact that the extent of our lead problem isn't left to our urban areas. This is an issue that the Congressman and I have had many conversations on over the past 18 months. He is a passionate advocate for Bergen County's kids in schools, and I applaud his efforts not just here at home, but also in Congress, alongside our delegation to push the federal government to support lead abatement efforts.
Thank you,
so
Governor.
well done,
Thank you,
man.
Governor. Thanks,
All
Governor.
right, God bless you, man. And likewise, the team to your right, this is an issue that Senator Lagana and the Assembly members Swain and Tully are also taking head on in the legislature, and Chris has a particular perspective on this, not only as an assemblyman, but also with an experience on the federal side of the House, including with Josh and Senator Lautenberg. Today, I'm proud to announce with all of us up here a three-pronged approach to ensuring that students and educators here in Bergenfield, around Bergen County, and across the state have access to clean, lead-free water. We will, 1, strengthen the State Department of Education's safe drinking water regulations. 2, make all school districts lead testing information available in a single, easily navigated website. And 3, use the funding available through the voter-approved Securing Our Children's Future Bond Act to prioritize and undertake remediation projects for districts facing high lead levels. To the first point, Commissioner Repollet and the Department of Education will seek new state regulations to cut in half, from 6 years to 3 years, the time between which every public school must undertake a complete lead testing protocol for their water. The current once every 6 year regime was adopted more than 2 years ago before we got here, and we recognize that we must do better. Additionally, the department will include in these regulations new direct enforcement powers to ensure that schools are transparent in the public reporting of their lead testing results and remediation efforts. To further ensure transparency above and beyond the district level, the Department of Education will create on its website a single central database of all school lead testing results. In addition, this database will note when districts file their required annual statements of assurance that they are in compliance with all applicable regulations, or when they fail to do so. This means that residents and educators will no longer have to dig through their school's website for information, and that policymakers and others won't have to navigate a laundry list of websites to get information across districts. Finally, for districts which we know already have experienced higher levels of lead in their water, our administration will turn to the $100 million in state funding secured specifically for school water infrastructure improvements through the aforementioned Securing Our Children's Future Bond Act, which the voters of New Jersey approved last November. And our teams across many agencies have been working feverishly to get ready and prepare to go to launch that. Together with Commissioners McCabe and Repillette and their respective teams, we will prioritize lead remediation projects based on the results of the initial round of required statewide testing from 2016 and 2017. This will allow us to get these projects done more quickly so students and faculty can rest more easily about the safety of the water in their schools. And in doing so, we will allow the departments to then put their focus on remediation needs elsewhere as further testing results guide them. As I said, lead contamination is not a Newark problem or an urban problem. It's not just a Bergen County problem. Freeholder Tom Sullivan is with us and can attest to that. It's not a short-term problem. It's a problem that has been building over decades in communities up and down our state and indeed across the country. It's a challenge that we must take on together at all levels of government and not just when we are forced to act. And that's what we are doing today. And in doing so, we will make New Jersey a model for the nation on how to approach this long overlooked problem and ensure a better future for our state, especially for our most precious assets, our kids. It is now my pleasure and honor to introduce a friend and a champion for our communities. Please help me welcome Congressman Josh Gottheimer.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Governor, for that very kind introduction and for your really kind words. Very, very grateful. And we are really lucky to have a room full of such esteemed leaders from our community, and so obviously our incredible team to our right with Assemblywoman Swain, Mr. Lagana, Joe's been an incredible leader and friend, and Chris Tully, who's also just done such an excellent job on these issues and so many others. We're also very lucky to have in the room here our council president, our council members, our other Dr. Tully, our excellent freeholder, does a great job, our mayor, and I hope I didn't miss anybody else, but if I did, Chris Tully gave me the list. So
I don't do that.
Okay. It's an old trick. It's an old trick.
Yeah.
By the way, it's in crayon.
By the way, it's in crayon.
Just kidding.
I do want to thank Governor Murphy again for his excellent leadership and for being in our community this morning as we sound the alarm on this threat to the health and safety of our families and children, dangerously elevated lead levels in our drinking water. We are here this morning because every child deserves to drink water that's free of lead, and every parent deserves to know if their child's school has lead in their pipes, sinks, or water fountains. I'm grateful that we're here to announce steps to do just that. And the governor, I think, has the announcements he made today are incredibly important and are going to have a real impact to help our children and our families. Giving parents and communities easy to access and up-to-date information on their child's school water so they can make the right decisions. It's a level of transparency many of us have been calling on for years now. But that's not happening across the board in New Jersey right now, unfortunately, including in many of our schools right here in northern New Jersey. In many schools, despite what's required by state law, it's hard to figure out if they've tested water for lead. Or if they have, if there is a problem, it's unclear to parents if they've actually addressed it. And that's why we're here today, and why the governor took those important steps today, to give parents more information. It's just common sense. This weekend, my office issued a report that checked every school district in the counties I represent to see if parents could find basic information required by law. Has their school tested for lead in the water, and what was the result? Again, basic transparency, putting that information out there. We did our best to find the information just like a parent would. We searched and searched and searched. And by the way, maybe it's there, but it's really hard to find. And that's exactly the opposite of what a parent needs. Here's what we did learn. Of 85 school districts here in northern New Jersey, a significant number have not reported their lead testing results in an easy-to-find way on their websites. More than half of our school districts indicated at least one outlet within their system that had a problem with lead in their water. Now, many, if not all, I'm sure, have addressed any issues they posted about. But that's unclear if they have. And I'll tell you, as a parent, I want to be able to just go someplace, look it up quickly, and find an answer. Is there a problem in my school or not a problem in my kid's school? It's anything else is unacceptable. Why is this so important? As the governor and others have talked about, exposure to lead can have a severe impact on our children, stunting development, causing learning disabilities, hearing loss, seizures, and irreversible harm to brain development, the nervous system, and vital organs. Many of our schools are older, so their pipes, sinks, and water fountains predate that transition to lead-free pipes. Right? From our tunnels to our bridges to our roads, we all have discussed our need for massive updating and improvement of our infrastructure, and our pipes are no exception to that. You just can't close your eyes and hope it will go away. It's why we're working so hard, whether on the Gateway Project or others, federally, to make sure we get investment in infrastructure. It's so important. So to me, there are just 5 quick steps we can take to give parents, teachers, and communities the information they deserve about lead levels in their schools, so they're well informed and can take those necessary measures. First, if school districts have not already done so, it's critical that they conduct lead tests in their schools as soon as possible. And I'm with the governor, right? We should shorten how often we have to conduct these tests. It shouldn't be every 6 years. I agree, it should be shortened. Second, school districts should also make all test results widely available in an easy-to-find place on their websites, in plain speak, so that all New Jersey parents have access to this critical information. If there is a problem, they should have to follow up the next year and post the steps they've taken to remediate. Seems basic common sense. Third, schools should also be required to test their water for lead and disclose findings, as I said, more than once every 6 years. Now, why is what the governor said so important about shortening? If you think about if a child starts K to 12, all right, is what we're used to. So you're telling me that half the time our children are in school, you might not know if they fixed the problem or if there is a problem? That seems an unacceptable number. We should do it more often. Fourth, New Jersey and all states should create an easy-to-access central database that schools report into every year with lead water results for parents. I'm thrilled the governor announced that we're going to be doing this today. I think it's really, really important that we have a central portal where you can just go to as a parent, look up your school, see if the information's there, and make a decision. And every community, of course, should make their own decisions on how to handle it, but they should have the information. Finally, the state of New Jersey must strictly enforce a law that's already on the books. And I'm glad the governor is announcing steps today to do that. As our report shows, without full enforcement, lead water disclosure laws will have the unintended effect of not getting followed and could, of course, year in, year out, you might not have that information. We've got to make sure that we actually enforce the law on the books. The bottom line, our goal is 100% compliance from our school districts of this state law, and 100% enforcement from the state to make sure that parents have the information they need about their kids' safety. And lastly, on the federal level, I was very proud that last Congress, a key piece of my bipartisan legislation, the Lead-Free Schools Act, was enacted into law, creating targeted pilot programs using existing resources to improve drinking water infrastructure in our schools nationwide, addressing lead in the water. Right now I'm working on new federal legislation to claw back the resources to New Jersey to help fix the pipes from all the moocher states so that we can actually identify and replace those lead pipes here and promote transparency by making the results accessible to families online. Right? We pay far too much in taxes. Those dollars should be coming back here to fix our infrastructure. And by the way, Senator Booker took a very important step to that end, legislation that was signed into law on Friday, and I know it was led in New Jersey, and the governor and others worked very hard to help pass this too, which will help replace lead-coated pipes in our schools and homes. A very, very important measure. This bipartisan legislation can help everyone, and it's one of those things we can work together on to solve a clear problem. I'm proud to have worked over the past several years, not only with the governor and his office, who's done a tremendous job together on this issue, but with State Senate President Steve Sweeney, State Senators Lagana and Oroho, Speaker Coughlin, Assemblyman Tolley, Assemblywoman Swain, the League of Conservation Voters, the Sierra Club, Clean Water Action, and so many others. The point is, this is a bipartisan effort and a team effort. We all have to work on it to ensure that in the greatest country in the world, our best days are ahead, our children are always safe and happy and healthy. That's our responsibility. God bless you, and may God continue to bless the United States of America.
Well done, man. Well done. The point, many points resonated with me, but the one that really resonated is how many stories I've heard about parents. It's an incredible maze, and how to find the information about your kids' schools on lead is unacceptable, which is a big part of the steps we're taking today. Thank you.
Thank you.
They asked me, we met in Asbury Park, which is the background. Some of you heard this before, but they asked me when the dynamic in education and our administration changed, and I said when the big man joined the band. Please help me welcome Commissioner Dr. Lamont Repellet.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Thank you, Governor, Congressman Gottheimer, Commissioner McCabe, and thank you, Senator Joe Lagana, Assemblywoman Lisa Swain, and Assemblyman Chris Tully of the 38th District for your shared commitment to ensuring access to safe, clean drinking water for all New Jersey students. 3 years ago, New Jersey took an important first step to address the issue of lead in school drinking water. We required testing in schools, and whenever elevated levels were found, schools were required to shut off the tap and provide an alternative source of drinking water. Parents need to be informed and notified, and results need to be posted online. While those requirements were important first steps, we cannot become complacent. This is an issue of paramount concern for the 1.4 million students and to every staff member who attends or works in New Jersey public schools. When parents send their children off to school each morning, they need to feel assured that their child is going to a safe learning environment. This is a major concern for our staff, students, parents throughout our state. And as a former superintendent, principal, and teacher, it is a concern of mine. That is why I applaud Governor Murphy for putting forth a plan to improve the water infrastructure in our schools. As part of this initiative, I'll be seeking regulations to require more frequent water testing in schools and to strengthen the department's oversight of reporting and remediation efforts crucial to student safety. We will create a centralized, user-friendly, and ready, accessible database. At a glance, parent and any concerned member of the community should be able to know whether a school district's water has exceeded the established lead levels. They should have the comprehensive testing and remediation information just one click away. But we understand that access to that information is important and meaningful when paired with the resources needed to take action. That's why we share the governor's enthusiasm in announcing that in our administration, the $100 million program for water infrastructure project, we will prioritize remediation projects in those districts with elevated lead levels. This is a priority shared by the comprehensive group of stakeholders and water infrastructure experts who we have consulted with over the last several months. Thank you, Governor Murphy, Congressman Gottheimer, Commissioner McCabe, and all the stakeholders here today for your partnership in this most important initiative. I look forward to our continued collaboration to ensure New Jersey students have access to safe, clean drinking water. Thank you.
Thanks, man. Well done. Thank you, Lamont. Couple of things. One is, Josh alluded to this, it takes a village. It isn't one political party's purview. It's bipartisan, multi-agency, multi-discipline, both state, local, county, as well as federal, to crack the back of a lead crisis that we have in this country. I always knew I'd be spending a lot of time with Commissioner McCabe. I never expected I'd be spending so much time with her as we have over the past couple of months, in particular on matters of lead in the water, and she's done an extraordinary job. Please help me welcome the Commissioner for the Department of Environmental Protection, Catherine McCabe.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us, and thank you, Governor, for inviting the Department of Environmental Protection to be part of this important announcement. I am much admiring of my colleague, Dr. Lamont Repellet, for his leadership. We have been in discussion since the beginning of the administration about how we could do a better job in addressing the continuing lead problem that we have in our schools, despite efforts that were made earlier. and our staffs have been working really closely together for quite a while now, and I'm very, very proud of them for coming up with the new proposals and actions that we're announcing today. It is very important that we not wait 6 years to test the lead in the water of schools. So this will be now a 3-year cycle. The Department of Environmental Protection will continue to provide the technical assistance to the Department of Education in doing the testing to make sure that it's done right, and that you all and parents of all the school children can have confidence that the test results are telling the true facts. We will also be partnering closely with the Department of Education to assist them in setting up the website that will be hosted on the Department of Education's website, but the Department of Environmental Protection has little experience with drinking water and lead in particular, and we will be providing technical assistance and guidance for them in helping to set up that website. And I'm very, very thrilled to see us moving out on finding the ways that we can most profitably spend the $100 million that has been given to us to improve the infrastructure. The schools have many needs when they have older plumbing. Lead is the one that is most in our minds and the one that we think of most often, but there are in fact other problems that some schools have in different parts of the state that can use addressing as well. Our schools are older. Like many of our buildings, we have spent a great deal of time and energy in this administration, as you probably know, since the beginning of last year, in working on the problem of lead in homes, in the drinking water supplies in places like Newark and, frankly, more than 60 other places around the state that have had lead exceedances. So it's really, really critical that we make sure that our kids are safe in their schools as well as in their homes, and I'm thrilled to continue to partner with Lamont Recollet and the Department of Education on this important work.
Thank you, Catherine. I think the value statement that encompasses everything we're talking about today is that access to clean and safe drinking water for every child in the state is a right, not a privilege, period. As I mentioned earlier, there's an extraordinary legislative team that represents Bergenfield and District 38. Would love to ask each one of the leaders to come on up and say a few words, beginning with their Senator Joe Lagana, who, by the way, dressed with me this morning, as you can see.
Thank you, Governor Murphy, members of the administration, Congressman Gottheimer, and my team here in District 38, as well as the local elected officials and our freeholder, Tom Sullivan, who's here. We heard a lot about the issue of lead in the water, whether it affects schools or homes. It's a big issue in my district as well as in the county itself. We were kind of thrust into this topic, this issue, several months ago when some random testing was done throughout Bergen County, and there were a number of towns that came back with lead levels that exceeded what is permitted by the DP or the EPA, and we were immediately meeting with the water company. The county executive was deeply involved, and we really had to delve into what did the laws look like, what were the requirements that were there, what were the regulations that were really in place at the time, and it kind of spurred on our end and on the legislative end us to look at our existing laws and how we can make them better. We have a package of bills which take a comprehensive approach designed to address many of the underlying issues causing excessive lead levels in our state's drinking water. Our bills, and I say our bills, I'm sponsoring in the Senate, and Chris Tully and Lisa Swain are sponsoring in the Assembly. But our bills not only cover schools and daycares by requiring testing and notification of lead action level exceedances, but they also increase requirements and oversight on water systems, landlords, and others. We're working with Governor Murphy, who's been an amazing partner during this time period, as well as our colleagues across the state in the Senate and the Assembly, and of course we are working hand in hand with the county executive and with Congressman Gottheimer, who's been amazing on this issue. We must ensure that everyone in the state, and in particular our children, have access to clean drinking water, and we must create greater transparency on this topic so parents can have peace of mind when they send their kids to school every morning. One of those parents is me. I have 3 kids. 2 of them go to public schools in Paramus, and of course, not only is it, it's an issue sending your kids to school, worrying about them getting good grades, and social media and bullying and everything else that goes along with being a student nowadays. We at least want them to be able to go to the drinking fountain and get some clean water. I mean, that's the least that's the least we should ask for. That's quite frankly, they deserve that. This is an issue, a topic that's going to take time. It's going to take collaboration, and most importantly, it's going to take money. I'm glad that there are funds available. I think as a legislature, it's imperative on us to make sure that there are always funds available to tackle this important issue. It requires our utmost attention. I'm very happy that Governor Murphy is here today in Bergenfield, and he's been really an amazing partner in this, as well as Congressman Gottheimer. I think the feds should pay up. What do you think?
As long as you get it from the moocher.
The moocher states got to pay up. But I'm very happy to be here, and I'll do all that I can in the Senate along with my colleagues, and work hand in hand with the governor and our federal partners to make sure that we tackle this issue head on. Thank you.
Thanks, Joe. Thank you, Joe. Again, an extraordinary team in District 38. Please help me welcome up another of its members, one of my running partners, I have to say, Assemblywoman Lisa Swain.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Governor, Congressman, Commissioners, my team at 38. Clean drinking water is a fundamental right, and access must be preserved and expanded. As Mayor of Fair Lawn, I dealt firsthand with contaminated drinking water. Thanks to the work we did in my hometown, the New Jersey DEP tightened their regulations, exceeding federal standards, and the positive effects of this action are improving the quality of water statewide. As an Assemblywoman, I've continued this important work, and our bill package addresses lead in schools while also taking a broader approach to increase regulation and oversight on water systems and landlords by helping towns fund lead service line replacements and by ensuring free water tests for all water system customers when there is an action level exceedance. I am currently working on a bill that would examine the standards and testing requirements for currently unregulated chemicals such as the PFOAs and ensure that the public is knowledgeable about exactly what they are drinking. No child should be damaging their health by drinking water in a place where they are supposed to grow and learn. We must ensure access to clean water and a clean environment for everyone, particularly for our future generations. Those are our responsibilities as legislators, as citizens of the earth, and I look forward to working with the governor and others to fulfill those crucial obligations. Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa. Thank you, Lisa. And again, the invaluable perspective that you have as a former mayor cannot be overstated, so thank you very much again. I mentioned Chris, who's last but not least one of our speakers, has seen this as a professional senior staff member on the congressional federal side. He now sees it as a representative, as a member of the Assembly, and I think that's an incredibly valuable perspective to have as well. Please help me welcome the other Chris Tilley.
It is the other Chris Tully. Good morning, everybody. I want to thank the governor. Thank you so much for choosing Bergenfield, our commissioners for being here today. And thank you, Congressman Gottheimer. It's been an honor to work side by side with you, first as your district director and now in the State Assembly. And I look forward to working closely with him for all you've done for the residents of District 38 and all offices, our colleagues in the legislature and across the state, and most importantly, concerned parents and students in our communities to remove lead from our schools and our homes. And really we're here, yes, as leaders, but at the end of the day we're here as parents, because my son, he just turned 3 over the weekend, and you want to do everything you can to keep, thank you.
Kid's
Yes,
cute.
thank you, yes.
Kid is very cute.
And you want to do all you can to keep your kids safe. And this is why we have to make sure that kids have access to clean drinking water at home and at schools, and it's a priority for the District 38 team. And I really, as you kind of said earlier, it does take a community. It does take leadership. And we have a wonderful, amazing community here in Bergenfield. Thank you, Dr. Tully, for holding up the Tully name here in town, but all you do for prioritizing education and the safety of our kids here. Julia with the Bergenfield Education Association, our former Superintendent, Dr. Kuchar, and of course, our governing body, Borough Administrator, Chief now, and of course, Freeholder Tom Sullivan, one of Bergenfield's favorite sons. We have been doing a lot here in Bergenfield, and I've touched this as a councilman here, as an assemblyman, and also in Congressman Gottheimer's office. This problem, it faces various capacities of public service and includes, in our bill package that we've introduced as district mates, includes regulation and oversight of schools, daycares, water systems, and landlords to ensure that water system customers, schools and daycares, and proper state and local authorities are quickly notified of exceedance, and to make it easier for towns to replace lead service lines. But it also takes an individual municipality and towns. That's why Bergenfield, I'm proud, has been a leader, and I'm glad that the governing body has continued making sure that replacing lead service lines in our road program has been a priority. And of course, my time with Congressman Gottheimer, working with him side by side, making sure that clean drinking water is not only a priority, but is one of the things that we must tackle and must tackle right away. And that's why we pushed together for more transparency in lead school testing, and to make sure that we have that centralized database, because we've all said it, there's no easy solution for this problem, but parents deserve to know if their child is going to be safe at school. And that's why I promise to continue this fight until we resolve the problem of lead in our schools, keeping our children healthy, and it should be a top priority for the state of New Jersey. Thank you so much, everybody, and God bless.
Well done and well said, everyone. I feel like we've borrowed someone's classroom. Is that right, Dr. Tully?
No, you're in the library.
The library, okay. All right. I have a great library joke, but I'll hold off on that for another time. A couple of quick questions before we break, please.
Governor, hi. I'm Stacey Barchinger with the USA Today Network here in New Jersey. I have a question about the $100 million Bond Act. It's two parts. When do you think the schools will get that money? And can you respond to concerns that it's taken a long time or too long to get that money out?
It has taken a long time, and I alluded to this earlier. It is quite complicated. So it got voted on in November of last year. I think all of the spade work is ready to go, but there's a deadline that doesn't come up again, I think, until December 16th, 2019, so a couple of months. It's a multi-departmental. As Lamont reminds me, we did a big stakeholder engagement, which takes time. Assuming that process goes well in terms of the submission of all of the facts and figures, bless you. I think, based on what I know, is that this is money that can be raised in the spring of 2020 is the best timing. And are folks frustrated it's taken this long? Count me on that list, but that's not for lack of a lot of work. I mean, literally moving heaven and earth. This is really complicated stuff, and what we're saying today explicitly, which has not been said before today, that districts that have had a lead exceedance in their measurements will be eligible to be first in the queue for that money when we do raise it. So it is coming. Not as fast as we'd like, but it's not for lack of a lot of work. Please.
What do we know about the scope of the problem in the school statewide and here in the county right now?
Well, the statewide, Catherine, I think, can address, and I think Josh alluded to, it wasn't just Bergen, that was all of your district, right?
Yeah.
Do you want to start from the state in terms of school in particular, you're talking about?
Yes.
Yeah, the schools have had already moved out and done quite a bit of work since a few years ago when the focus was turned to that. So my understanding is that there's only maybe a couple of dozen schools right now that we know of that have the lead action level exceedances at this point. But if you're only testing every 6 years, you're never sure until you go and test again, which they'll need to do, and you need to keep testing because these are old pipes and the water chemistry affects what happens as the water comes in through the pipes and through the plumbing and the fixtures and the fountains that the kids are drinking out of. So we have to stay constantly vigilant, and that number may never be zero. It may be a work in progress until we replace every last piece of lead pipe and every last piece of lead solder in the plumbing fixtures in our schools.
Yes. That's why this announcement is important. We're looking at increasing transparency, strengthening our accountability system, and ensuring that we work together to make sure. So whether it's our QSEC monitoring, whether it's our county offices, and our Office of Fiscal Accountability, everyone now is working on one accord. Where in the past we were kind of disjointed and working in different areas. Now with this new announcement of regulations, we go from 6 to 3 years, which is in line with our accountability system for school districts. We currently have them monitored once a year as far as a statement of insurance. However, we're going to do a better job with our new regulations, and more importantly for us, strengthening our accountability system.
Josh mentioned this. If you got a kid K through 12 on average, under the old regime, you're getting tested about once in the middle of your experience. Secondly, I studied what Bergenfield has done, and I thought you all did a great job. I asked folks, to give us a little bit of color on what happened when you had your testing, and the use of bottled water and shutting down fountains was really impressive. So,
I'll just add to that, and agreeing with the governor on Bergenfield has done an excellent job. The key is information, right? I mean, and so I can't speak. I think, no one has the complete answer right now, as far as I know, if every single school has been addressed and if there's an issue. The question is, how do we make sure that parents have the information they need and communities do to make the decision of steps they should take? And what we found, and when we looked at my office, just the schools in my district, are the results posted so that parents can find them in an easy, accessible way? Because I think, as a dad, I want to know, and I want to be able to quickly look at that so we can make a decision. And I think the steps we're taking today will help to that end, which I think is very important. Of just at least let's do the first step. Are they testing? Is there a problem? And then are they following up and doing anything about it? And I think everyone has a right to know that.
Amen. Amen. We're not talking, by the way, about which gets less attention than it should for another day, lead sources other than water. Paint flecks, in particular, in older homes, but that is not, schools are not immune to that either. And I think Lamont and team are working on some protocols there as well. Please.
Congressman, your site mentions the study that you did over the weekend.
Yeah.
Hackensack, and Haywood.
I'll work that.
You can't find the lead test results. I went on the website last night and I found it before.
So I know I looked at, we saw your note on that. So the key is, and what I said in our report and what I said today is easy to find. And in the search bars, and I'm sure if you go, you can, I went and dug for a long time on Hackensack too. The challenge is, can you find them? And the good news is it's there, but parents are really busy. They should be able to go to the search bar on a site, type lead water in, boom, and find it. Now, and as I said, like, if you got these things were not perfect, we just spent hours and hours on all these sites looking. And I think the key is parents don't have the time for that. This is exactly why we need a central, easy to access database where parents can go with the click of a button, type in their school, find the information, and be able to make a decision. And that's really what we're going for here. Thanks.
Thanks, man. David, what an honor. I haven't seen you in Jersey in a while.
The state is getting better.
Every single day.
Governor, over the weekend I saw a letter from Senator Rice where he felt his perception was that the administration and legislative leaders were patronizing toward black officials.
Yeah, I actually haven't. I know he sent me a letter. I will tell you now, I haven't read it, so I'm going to do that today. And I have enormous respect for Senator Rice. We've done a lot together. I would just say, with great respect, I would vehemently disagree, and I would just point to, the independent prosecutor law, solitary confinement, the standing up of the criminal sentence disposition commission, the enormous amount of work we've done on gun safety, opioid abuse, expungements. I would say, with great respect, the list is as long in the area of criminal and social justice as any state in America over the past 21 months. I look forward to reading the letter and sitting with him. Again, I have great respect for him, but I will put our record up. Is it perfect? No. Do we still have a road to travel? You bet. But I'll tell you, I'll put our record up against anybody's. Anybody else? One more sec. Sir.
Governor, what do we know about Hoover? I mean, we're making the announcement. You're making the announcement.
Yep.
For a reason. Are the lead pipes even? Are there levels that
So Dr. Tully or the principal may want to answer this. My assessment, my readout over the weekend was about the Bergenfield districts. It wasn't specific to the school. How are we doing here?
Yeah, so Hoover School, any outlets that were showing.
Do you mind coming up?
Sure.
The Dr. Chris Tully. Our Chris is working in his doctorate, by the way. So
You're going to Tully sandwich.
exactly.
I'm sorry, who asked the question?
Right here, sir.
So in 2016, we tested all our school outlets, and any outlet that was found to have any amount of lead was taken out of service and replaced with brand new outlets with filters attached, and anything that we weren't able to remove from service was permanently taken out of service, so we didn't have to worry about it in the future. Yes.
I'm asking on Fox 5. I'm from Virginia. What is a moocher state?
Welcome to Jersey.
We're in Virginia.
Virginia Beach.
Virginia, it's where my wife grew up. So.
On that note,
I feel like on that note, jump in with both feet.
So, I mean, I love this question. You couldn't ask me a bigger layup, man.
You know, we in New Jersey, in my opinion, pay far too much in taxes. We pay federally far too much in for what we get back to the state. Historically, and I'm proud to say that in the 5th District, we're up 57% in what we've clawed back since I was sworn in. But historically, we've received 33 cents in my district. Before I arrived, 33 cents on the dollar for every dollar we send to Washington. You compare it to other states like Mississippi, which receive $4.38 for every dollar they send to the federal government. Hence a moocher state. They take far back more than they put in. Now, you know, we've got a lot of things we need to fix here in Jersey, and I think we should be getting more back from the federal government here to New Jersey, and especially, of course, the 5th Congressional District. We're going to keep fighting for every single dollar for cops, for firefighters, for our roads and bridges and tunnels, to make sure we get those resources back here. Thanks so much.
I would also add amen to that. And no one fights harder on that than the congressman. It's been probably the theme in terms of defining our administration's relationship with our congressional delegation since we've come into office. It's the number one, I'd say, alongside pushing back on deleterious, destructive steps being taken by the Trump administration, and before the Democrats won the House, the Republican Congress, dividing us versus them, anti-immigrant, whatever it might be. Alongside that, getting our fair share out of Washington has been about job number one. We're doing better. We still have a ways to travel. Things like the SALT cap, which we have bonded on together, the two of us and our teams, is an example of where some other folks who are not our friends are trying to exacerbate that give-get relationship, and no one fights stronger than Josh. I want to thank my colleagues up here, the commissioners, congressmen, representatives of the 38th, Mayor Freeholder, Council President, Dr. Tully, representing the education side of the House. Thank you all so much for coming out today. Wish you a great week here in Bergenfield.
I'll see you in a couple of weeks.
Thanks, guys.
Harbin.